Imagine stepping onto a spacecraft bound for Mars, knowing you will never return to Earth. It sounds like science fiction, but in reality, this is the brutal scenario every future Mars astronaut must face. Distance is not just a set of abstract numbers. It is an absolute barrier that blocks any attempt to turn back. A journey to the Red Planet is one of the harshest missions humanity has ever conceived, if it takes only 3 days to reach the Moon. A one-way trip to Mars requires 6 to 9 months. That means astronauts must leave Earth for a total of 2 to 3 years. The minimum amount of time before returning home is even theoretically possible. At an average distance of 55 million kilometers, Mars is so far away that even light takes over 20 minutes to reach Earth. An emergency evacuation is unthinkable. A medical emergency is hopeless. The nearest hospital is 8 months away. These people are utterly alone in a way no human has ever been before. They are trapped inside a colossal space prison where the concept of rescue does not exist. Once the engines ignite and the spacecraft leaves the launch pad, their fate is sealed by distance itself. There are no shortcuts, no rest stops, only endless void and unbearable time. This isolation is the first trial and the foundation of every tragedy that follows. When we think about the dangers of space travel, our minds often jump to spectacular disasters from movies. An engine explosion, a hull breach, a sudden asteroid impact. But reality is far more brutal. The true killer threatening astronauts does not come in the form of fire or steel. It is invisible, perfectly silent, and capable of penetrating almost any material. Cosmic radiation. Right now, as you stand safely on Earth, you are protected by a massive and nearly perfect shield. Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere. This invisible armor blocks 99.9% of high-energy particles from deep space. But the moment an astronaut leaves Earth's orbit, they step outside the only safe zone humanity has ever known. They are exposed naked before the universe. In the cold, black void, the human body is constantly bombarded by galactic cosmic rays and energetic solar particles. This is not exposure for a few hours or days. This is a relentless, non-stop assault lasting 2 to 3 full years. Scientific data paints a horrifying statistical picture. A Mars astronaut will absorb between 870 and 1,200 millisieverts of radiation. To put that into perspective, this is roughly 700 times the radiation a normal person receives in 1 year on Earth. It is equivalent to undergoing 632 full-body CT scans, or more brutally, enduring 12,000 chest X-rays over the course of the mission. Imagine X-rays passing through your body dozens of times a day, every day, for 3 years, with nowhere to hide. The damage occurs at the deepest, smallest level of life. High-energy radiation particles, especially heavy ions, tear through the spacecraft hull like invisible microscopic bullets. They rip apart cellular structures. They snap the double helix of DNA that carries genetic information. The human body does have repair mechanisms, but when destruction outpaces repair, the system overloads. Errors in cell replication begin to appear, accumulate, and form ticking time bombs inside the body. The risk of death from cancer increases by 5 to 10%. But cancer is only the long-term outcome. The short and mid-term damage is even more terrifying because it directly threatens survival. Radiation spares nothing. It attacks the central nervous system itself. Simulation studies show measurable damage to the brain. Neurons are destroyed, leading to severe cognitive decline. Memory fades, thinking slows. Decision-making becomes impaired. An astronaut needs absolute mental clarity to operate the most complex machines ever built. Yet the very environment they live in is slowly turning them confused and sluggish. The eyes are not spared either. Cataracts form decades earlier than normal aging would allow. The immune system collapses as well. Bone marrow, the body's blood cell factory, is severely damaged by radiation. White blood cell counts drop. stripping the body of its ability to fight even common infections. A small cut or a mild flu can become life-threatening once the biological shield inside has shattered. The cardiovascular system ages rapidly. Blood vessels stiffen and degrade, increasing the risk of stroke even in astronauts who once had perfectly healthy hearts. The most hopeless part is that we are nearly powerless against this enemy. Conventional shielding methods from Earth are useless in space. If we line a spacecraft with thick layers of lead, it becomes too heavy for any rocket to launch. If we use lighter materials like aluminum, high-energy radiation striking the hull creates a deadly physical phenomenon known as secondary radiation. The protective shell becomes a radiation source itself, blasting astronauts from the inside like shrapnel, making things worse than having no shielding at all. A body enduring this level of radiation for years is no longer a human body in its original form. It is altered at its core, its genetic code rewritten, its molecular structure devastated. Radiation is the first domino to fall in a chain of biological collapse. It quietly weakens the foundation of life, clearing the path for the next physical disasters, those awaiting the bones and muscles. While radiation silently tears apart genetic code from within cells, another physical catastrophe unfolds in parallel, one just as brutal within the body's supporting framework. Radiation is an external enemy. Bone degeneration is a betrayal from our own biology. Gravity is not merely the force that keeps our feet on the ground, it is the greatest architect of life, an invisible but essential pressure that sustains human existence. For millions of years of evolution, our bodies were designed to constantly fight Earth's gravity. Every step, every rise, every small movement acts as natural resistance training that keeps our bones strong. But in the microgravity of a multi-year mission, that pressure disappears entirely. The human body is a brutally efficient machine. When the central nervous system detects that bones no longer bear load, it immediately signals that maintenance is unnecessary. Bone breakdown accelerates, while bone formation nearly stops. This is biological thawing in the most literal sense. Statistics reveal a terrifying free-fall curve. In microgravity, astronauts lose 1 to 3% of bone mass per month. That sounds minor over a few weeks, until you calculate a Mars mission lasting at least 30 months. We are talking about losing 30 to 50% of total bone density. For comparison, a 70-year-old woman with severe osteoporosis loses about 30% compared to her youth. A healthy 30-year-old astronaut boards the spacecraft. The one who steps off carries the porous, brittle skeleton of a frail, elderly person at the end of life. The damage concentrates in load-bearing regions, the pelvis, femur, and spine. Structures built to support body weight become fragile as glass. Calcium does not vanish. It dissolves from bone into the bloodstream and is excreted in urine. The astronaut's body is literally digesting its own skeleton and flushing it away. Even 2 hours of frantic daily exercise aboard the spacecraft is nothing more than a week delay against harsh biological law. Muscle collapse follows bone loss. Muscle is an energy luxury. The body quickly discards when unused. In microgravity, movement requires only a gentle push. The massive muscles of the thighs, calves, and spine, once essential for standing upright, become useless. They atrophy at a horrifying rate. Muscle fibers change chemically. Slow twitch endurance fibers, built for posture and stability, convert into fast twitch fibers, quick to react, but weak and rapidly exhausted. And here lies Mars' greatest trap. Gravity on Mars is only 38% of Earth's. It may slow deterioration, but it is nowhere near enough to reverse it or rebuild bone. During 18 months on the Martian surface, astronauts continue adapting to lightness. They grow accustomed to lifting heavy objects with one hand, to floating leaps and effortless movement. Their bodies complete the transformation into Martian organisms. This leads to a tragic outcome if they attempt to return. 24 after 3 years, Their bones and muscles are no longer compatible with Earth, placing a rotten bamboo frame under a concrete slab. That is exactly what happens when a body with half its bone density faces Earth's gravity again. Spinal columns may compress instantly under the weight of the upper body. Femurs may shatter from a single misstep. Atrophied muscles cannot support body weight, causing collapse the moment their feet touch the ground. This accelerated aging cannot be reversed overnight. The body destroyed its own foundation to survive space, and now there is no way back. But bones and muscles are only the shell. The next lethal transformation lies within the engine of life itself, where blood now flows under entirely different rules. As the skeleton crumbles and muscles vanish, a more dangerous change unfolds deep inside the chest. The heart. We romanticize the heart as the seat of emotion, but biologically, it is simply a pump, and like all muscles, it obeys the ruthless law. Use it or lose it. On Earth, the heart is a perpetual weightlifter. Every second, it fights gravity to push blood upward to the brain. This endless struggle keeps its walls thick and chambers strong. But the moment engines shut down and microgravity begins, the heart's greatest enemy disappears. Its workload plummets. The body decides that maintaining a powerful heart is a waste of energy. Degeneration begins immediately. Aerospace medical studies show that astronauts' hearts lose up to 20% of their mass during long missions. They literally shrink. Heart walls thin and weaken, like a professional athlete who stopped training for years. The heart adapts to space, becoming a low-power pump barely sufficient for weightless life. At the same time, the circulatory system falls into chaos. On Earth, gravity pulls blood toward the legs. In space, fluids float freely. Blood shifts upward and pools in the head, causing the swollen face syndrome common in astronauts. Puffy faces paired with chicken-thin legs, starved of circulation. This fluid shift deceives the brain. Sensing increased pressure in the chest and head, the body assumes fluid overload. An emergency command is issued. The kidneys expel liquid at full force. The result: total blood volume drops by up to 20%. Astronauts don't just have weaker hearts. They have less blood to carry oxygen. This creates a deadly biological trap when they return to Earth. Imagine a small irrigation pump suddenly forced to push water to the top of a skyscraper. That is exactly what the astronaut's heart faces upon re-entry. The instant Earth's gravity grabs their body, blood is violently dragged into the legs. The weakened heart panics, beating frantically, trying to force blood uphill to the brain. But the thin muscle walls cannot overcome gravity. The result is orthostatic intolerance. Blood fails to reach the brain. Severe dizziness, dangerous drops in blood pressure, tachy, immediate fainting upon standing. Worse still, overload may cause the heart to fail entirely. Blood vessels have changed too. Carotid arteries stiffen, losing elasticity, increasing the risk of cerebral hemorrhage during sudden pressure shifts. After 3 years in space, the cardiovascular system has been fully re-engineered for floating life. It is no longer a human Earth heart. It has become an alien heart. A fragile machine meant only to pulse gently in low-pressure environments. This adaptation is one way. The body optimized itself for Mars, and in doing so, severed the path home. All changes from bone and muscle to genes and heart converge toward a single, irreversible sentence. When all the fragments from previous sections are assembled, a chilling picture emerges. What astronauts face is not illness or temporary weakness. It is forced rebirth. After 3 years, submerged in radiation and microgravity, their bodies have fully transformed into Martian organisms. Look at the biological legacy left behind. A genome riddled with errors, primed for cancer. A hollow, chalk-thin skeleton, missing half its mineral density. Atrophied muscles that have forgotten how to bear weight. And a small, weakened heart, accustomed to effortless blood flow. These changes are survival optimizations for an alien world, but that very optimization becomes a death sentence upon return. Earth's gravity, the force that nurtured humanity for millions of years, becomes the most brutal enemy. Imagine the day of return, as the spacecraft pierces the atmosphere and 1G slams down. The astronaut's body feels crushed by a massive stone. Their brittle skeleton groans under the weight of its own flesh. Vertebrae may fracture instantly, causing unimaginable pain and permanent paralysis. At the same time, the weakened heart faces the greatest shock of its existence. It pounds wildly, trying to force blood to the brain against Earth's pull, but it is too weak. Blood drains from the brain. Oxygen deprivation sets in. Consciousness fades. And even if they survive landing, life afterward becomes imprisonment in pain. They are bedridden, unable to walk, unable to stand. Every movement is torture. A collapsed immune system leaves them defenseless against Earth's most ordinary bacteria. Their lifespan is drastically shortened by irreversible genetic damage. They become disabled survivors in a world they no longer belong to. Their bodies have rejected Earth. They accepted Mars as home and transformed themselves accordingly. This is the cruel paradox of evolution, and the human body adapts too well. So well that it destroys every path back to its original state. We speak of conquering Mars as a triumph of humanity, but the price is the biological humanity of those who go first. A Mars mission is, in truth, a one-way ticket. Not because we lack fuel, not because we lack rocket technology, but because the human body itself forbids return. The first humans to walk on the red planet will stay there forever. They will live out their remaining days beneath an orange sky, breathing recycled air, and finally rest beneath eternal red dust. They are the universe's required sacrifices. Earth, the place of their birth, will remain only a pale blue dot in the night sky, a beautiful, lethal memory they can never touch again.